Capital, Islamabad. Javed, welcome to the program once again. I believe people are starting to coalesce more and more to the venue of the Friday prayers in Islamabad. Tell us about the people that are amassing there and also about the following demonstration that is slated to take place after the Friday prayers.
Well, as we speak, people have started coming out of mosques and they're heading towards the road that leads towards US Embassy and French Embassy in Islamabad. But in some of the mosques, probably the Friday prayer is still underway. But I have an unfortunate report to tell you that one of the cameramen of a local television in Peshawar was killed in exchange of firing when police opened live ammunition which hit the vehicle of a local television, as a result of which the senior cameraman Muhammad Amr has been killed. That is the unfortunately first casualty of today, while much of the protests have yet to take place. But let me just give you a breakdown of what has happened today. In the entire Pakistan, there's a general strike, which means all the shops, all the business centers, they have been shut down. The fuel pumps have been shut down. There is no traffic on the roads all over Pakistan except for the police vans and maybe some of the people moving from one place to another in an emergency situation, or maybe some vehicles of media. So it is a kind of a standstill situation in Pakistan, and unprecedented scenes that we never witnessed in Pakistan's history. Only similar incidents in situation happened when there was such a complete general strike in Pakistan. These are very unusual scenes in Pakistan. Generally, people are divided. It's a multi-ethnic society, multicultural society. But when it comes to the honor of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you will find, as we are witnessing, that people with different multiple ethnic background, with different sects, they are united on one thing, that they would never compromise when it comes to the honor of Muslims, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. That is the situation on the ground. But let me give you a little more details about the violence that has already taken place in Islamabad and in adjoining area of Islamabad. In the entry point of Islamabad was put on fire, and similarly there were reports of clashes between protesters and police in Garrison City, Rawalpindi, which is a twin city with Islamabad. Now people, much of the crowd in Islamabad would come from Rawalpindi, which is enjoined with Islamabad. These people would generally include the common people, traders, students, despite the fact that all the schools are closed, but these students will come from their homes. And also don't forget these madrasa students, we call it as seminary students, they would also be joining this protest. The people from different backgrounds, they are going to join this protest. And now lately, Pakistan's mainstream political parties, they have also decided that they would participate in these protests, seeing that there is a public mood is turning against the mainstream political parties who are believed to be pro-US, and because of that factor, they were not joining these protests, and it was a headless and leaderless movement. Now they are also joining them, but it has yet to be seen, and I don't think that would happen, that these people would rally behind the mainstream political parties. Pakistani people, they separate the political business with the religious business. You will find that in Pakistan, people would not vote religious parties. But when it comes to the religious issue like the one that we are discussing, then people will rally behind religious parties, or maybe, as we see now, on their own, they join these protests. And I think in coming next few hours, situation would be much more clear. Now we can say that the people have started coming out from their mosque and they are heading towards the US Embassy.
Javed, you mentioned that there's a general all-out strike taking place in Pakistan. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That probably means that people want to see action against the blasphemous film and insulting cartoons. What kind of action do the Pakistani people demand from their government?
Well, right now, as we speak, one of the U.S. top diplomat has been summoned in Pakistan's foreign ministry, and Pakistani government has demanded once again that this blasphemous movie should be removed from the YouTube. That is also a demand which is shared by the people, but they have a set of demands. The first demand is that the U.S. ambassador from Pakistan should be expelled immediately. That is first demand. And the second demand that people of Pakistan expect from the Obama administration is that those people, those extremist Jewish and Christians who are behind this blasphemous movie, they should be punished, and this should be seen. I mean, the action should be seen. Now, when Obama administration say we cannot act against the individual liberties and freedom of speech, that brings a more gravity of anger in Pakistan, because it is a question of 1.5 billion Muslim population. And when they say they cannot act against those few people who have put the life of Americans and NATO forces in Afghanistan and Pakistan at stake, and there are no more violence because of them, if they cannot act against them, then people say they've got reasons to move towards the US embassy and storm it. Yesterday, what we have seen in the local newspaper, they have cited their conversation with the policemen. They were saying they were angry young men, and they told them that don't stop us. We will go to the US embassy and we'll kill American diplomats. Don't stop us. If you will stop us, we'll kill you. And I think that was the reason because of which the clashes started near the diplomatic cave, the red zone part of Islamabad. Now, this indicates the anger among people that is blazing. It never happened. Pakistani people has been tolerating. You know that these US drone strikes have been so frequent in Pakistan. 3 million people still are homeless because of the US-sponsored military operation in Pakistan. They're still homeless, but even people put up with that situation. 40,000 people have died because of Pakistan's joining so-called war on terror. They have tolerated it. But when it comes to the honor and the respect of their holy prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, they say, if you talk to them, that they are going to lay down their lives, but they would never compromise on this. If the West thinks that they are going to desensitize the Muslim by bringing these cartoon issues once again, by coming up with these kind of blasphemous movies, they say they should forget that we will get desensitized because of the repetition of such blasphemous act. In Pakistani context, people who may not seem very religious, they will talk about everything when you talk to them. But when anybody try to be a little more critical about their prophet, even in general conversation, people who are drinking, I mean, in some cases there are in the history of Pakistan that some people were drinking liquors, and all of a sudden someone raised the issue of the prophet's honor, and they started hitting them, beating them. And you will find history in Pakistan where people have killed high-profile people in the power. Most recently, the governor of Punjab, the biggest province of Pakistan, was murdered, none other than by his own police bodyguard. And similarly, when India and Pakistan were united some 60, 70 years ago, there are so many examples where somebody wrote a blasphemous book against Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Then the net result was that the man was killed. So I don't think that it will be easy for those who are behind these masterminds to save their lives. Probably going by the track record, it is a matter of time when some of the Muslims may be living in the USA, may be living elsewhere, they will try to get hold of them in one way or the other. They will try to punish them. This is a very deeply sentimental issue in Pakistan, and I have to say it again and again that it is an issue that is indeed intolerable for people of Pakistan. You have seen that there have been protests against the drone attacks. There have been protests on political issues. The number of the people coming on the roads was not as high as we have seen, and then those protests were concentrated on one particular city. In this case, you will find that no city has an immunity from the protest. People are everywhere. They are in small numbers, they are in big numbers. You look at the segments of the society, students, traders, old people, young people, they're all together. And they are not looking for a leadership. They have their own way to blaze their anger against the US. And I fear that now lately, because of the republication of a cartoon in the French newspaper, the French is going to be bracketed with the US, and probably it will be in a bigger picture. Entire Europe, the Western countries are going to be entirely bracketed with the US, which means all the diplomatic installations in Pakistan, diplomatic facilities, the business centers run by the Western countries in Pakistan, I think they are at stake. People could target them. We have seen some of these activities. Even the people are targeting their own facilities, which obviously cannot be justified, but the reality on the ground is that the people see their own government as extension of the US. They believe that they have reacted to this issue at a stage when US ambassador in Libya was killed, and they thought there would be reaction in Pakistan as well.
All right, many thanks. Press TV's Javed Rana from Islamabad. We'll get back to you later on in the day.